So today we're once again going to go ahead with some subreddits that I've found. The fuck? Yes, I'm using a sock as a pop filter because I'm using a sock as a pop filter. The explain like I'm five subreddit, don't panic. Pretty interesting, and I've seen that there's just really a lot of subreddits that are really interesting to me, and therefore we're also going to go through them and have a look at them, and also because I just don't want to go through something else. How are fireworks made into shapes? I understand that fireworks are basically gunpowder. They are shot up and fuse determines when they explode, but what makes them into shapes like smiley faces instead of just a big ball? I see. Inside of a firework, there's a propellant charge and explosive charge. The propellant shoots a cartridge mortar up into the air, and the secondary explosive mortar contains a bunch of little explosive charges, stars, packed in additional exploding material. I just don't want to read it actually. It works. The rule of thirds to me just looks like people get a random picture or illustration and put a grid on it to claim everything aligns with the intersection when it doesn't. I'm trying to wrap my head around composition to improve my art, but I always struggle to get behind the rule of thirds. It seems like everyone gets it except me, and it is super frustrating. The point is that you just do it before you start doing anything. If you have the outlines, you know the field, you know the area where you're drawing, and then you just put it into thirds and then you draw into it. That's it. You don't do it afterwards and stuff. And then you also just don't use any golden ratio things afterwards. You do it beforehand. Sometimes you see that it works out even though you haven't planned it. But yeah, please do it beforehand. Please help me make sense of this powerful tool. I do want to know what people say, though. It is a rule of thumb and does not need to be strictly followed, yes. It just teaches absolute beginners to think about composition. People that haven't learned about composition tends to put the most important thing in the dead center of the frame. They're shooting a picture like they would shoot a gun, i.e. you aim at the target. However, if you tell someone to put their subject and at the intersection of the third line, it forces them to make a decision which intersection points to choose. They start thinking about how their shot is composed and begin to learn what works and what doesn't. It's just a very simple rule because talking about leading lines, perspective, balance, negative space, etc. is too complex to start off with. As a photographer, this is it. Yes, this is it. Negative space. Google negative space logos. They are pretty interesting, but don't do them. Don't make them. It is like, yeah, cool. You did it. Sometimes there is cool things. But yeah, for example, the FedEx logo with the arrow, which is actually white space or negative space. Anyway, why are humans the only animals that needs to brush their teeth? I wonder. There must be some other. Some animals do brush their teeth through, though without opposable thumbs, toothbrushes, and toothpaste. They do it in other ways. Others just don't need to due to their diets, short lifespan, or capacity to regrow more sets of teeth. Elephants, for example, will constantly regrow morals, so don't have to worry about them. Rodents will chew things really fast in order to brush and sharpen the teeth, and canids have a high alkaline saliva, which prevents the animal on their teeth from demineralizing and prevents damage. I thought about that. Why can we see through air? Why do classical musicians read sheet music during sets when bands and other artists don't? They clearly rehearse their pieces enough to memorize them. No? The eyes seem to be glued on their sheets the entire performance. The explanation must be just very, just now it is fucked. Thank you. A very easy explanation. Can you please don't die? My husband plays for a city orchestra. He usually gets his sheet music in the mail a week before performance starts. He'll start working on them. Then the orchestra will have 2 to 4 rehearsals before performances start. Everyone needs to take copious notes because the conductor will put his own spin on things. Violins play louder at 85. Trombones slow down at 157. Then they perform twice. He gets a week off, and another 4 pieces of new sheet music arrives in the mail. Would I have newfound respect for musicians? I had no idea. In my head, I assumed they practiced for weeks. Amazing. But I do wonder why this is the case because I'm not sure they could be doing this earlier. I guess. I don't know. I think, it obviously depends on how often you play something. Of course, if it is just every 2 weeks, then yes, it's not going to work out that well to just get your sheets earlier. But if it is not the case, then why not? Anyway, why does storage on games on disk for the PS4 have to be downloaded to the console and not be stored on disk like say the PS2? I don't know. There's a coins shortage and apparently they aren't flowing like normal. Where did all the existing coins go? I do think just some people keep them because they're just collecting them. Why can't you move your body part if you break the bone? This is actually, so if muscles move in order to move the body part, for example, bicep and triceps move the arm, then why does a broken arm bone mean I can no longer move my arm? Surely, despite a broken bone, the muscles still work? Question mark. The bone acts for an anchor and pivot for the muscle. Without it, the muscle just tightens up and can't move properly. The muscles can still move, but as someone else has said, the bone anchors the muscles, and if the muscles start moving, they could disrupt the broken bone and keep it from healing. When the muscles contract or expand, they would cause pressure on the broken bone that made you hurt and not want to move. I see. I think it makes sense. I think it really makes sense. This is going to be the last one for this subreddit, but other subreddits, other subreddits. Why do fans and propellers have different amounts of blades? Well, I actually don't care. Why? No. How do video game mods work? How do you make them, and why can't you use them on consoles like Xbox? You can use them on consoles, but it is just a fucked up thing to do. You can't do mods on consoles because they require games to be digitally signed and the file system is locked down, so there's no way to get mod files in there. But you can with because I've already done that with if you think about PS3 or whatever PlayStation, you can use USBs and then just copy save data and copy modded data and stuff like that. This works out as far as I remember. And yeah, anyway. Skyrim and Fallout 4 allow mods on PS4 and Xbox One by downloading them in-game, and then the game puts the files in the correct spot. Mods work because games are designed to read files to know what needs to be loaded next. If you know how to change existing files or add in new files, then you can change what the game displays or does. Some games have built-in mod support. Bethesda Game Studio provides their creation kits to make modding their games very easy, which is Skyrim and Fallout, I think, is also Bethesda, but I'm not sure. They use a plugin system that makes changes when a mod is loaded. There's no detection or protection against mods changing the same thing. So if you have multiple mods that change the same thing, then the mods might not work or the game might crash. Thank you. Do you know how they are made? Special software? Not really, but I only know about Minecraft Factorio CIV5 and KSP mods. There are basically two ways. The game has mod support. Okay, in this case, the game provides a so-called API, which is some sort of environment. There is a set of functions inside the game that are public. You can't just use any function inside it to prevent cheating or worse. Now you write your mod using the functions in the API while adhering to a predefined format. When you convert the code to the right file type and put in the mod direction. On startup, the game will check for mods in this folder and will recognize it by the special format you used. Then it will try to execute the commands inside using the functions from the API. If you try to make the game do something not allowed in the API, the game might crash. The game doesn't have mod support. That is way harder and not really my expertise, but here we go. In this case, you basically reverse engineer specific segments of the game tasked with loading content. Then you replace those files with your own copy that includes either your mod or your own API that then loads your mod. The latter is what Forge mod loader does, but feel free to correct me. Another good example is CIVV modded multiplayer, which wasn't intended by the devs, even though the game has mod support. What you do is you convert your mod folder into a zip file with specific contents and a digital signature that identifies it as a DLC, and DLC can be used in multiplayer. Then you just put that zip into the DLC folder. The creation kit is available only on PC, but the mods work with the console version of the game, or rather can be compiled to work on console. I see, pretty interesting. Let's actually have a look at some other Reddits, because we're already 10 minutes in, which is the fun facts. If it is fun and interesting, it belongs here. Heavy fact, fairies identify as something other than humans, therefore they have no human rights. Well, fun fact, The Last of Us Part 2 doesn't suck. I still don't know, like I'm sure I have watched a Let's Play, but not really, not entirely, because it is really long, but yeah. Fun fact, New Jersey and Pennsylvania have virtually no land borders due to the Delaware River making up their entire border. The only land borders the two states have are some shared islands in the middle of the river. So for the most part, New Jersey's only substantial land border is with New York. I see. Fun fact, New Jersey is the only state to date that you don't have to pump your own gas. However, Oregon has this law too until it was removed. But I don't know, like, of course it is a job, of course it is great that people can do this, but I don't know, I think I would rather do it on my own. Snails have thousands of tiny teeth. I see. Fun fact, nothing starts with N and ends with G if you find a word common in it. Nothing starts with N. I do wonder, there must be somebody that is like, what about negotiating? Negotiating. Thanks, my guy. I see what you there, nothing starts with nothing. Oh, I hate everybody. Oh, fuck. Fun fact, up to 70% of South America's GDP depends on the Amazon. That's actually interesting. Dark chocolate contains a fair amount of caffeine, while white chocolate has none, because white chocolate is not fucking white chocolate, but rather, I think only cacao butter or some shit. It's not chocolate. I think this is my point. But I didn't know about that. I didn't know that dark chocolate actually contains caffeine. Even though, I mean, it is only 2 milligrams, which is like, I mean, a coffee, I think, is having 120 milligrams or 100 milligrams, something like that. Whereas tea is having 80, 90 or something. But yeah, the last one. Fun fact, you can type any random 3 letters into Google and almost everything you'll find that it's an abbreviation for something. I see. Cockroach milk is 4 times as nutritious as cow's milk, according to the Institute of Stem Cell Biology and Regenerative Medicine. But I wouldn't like to have it. Should we either go through food for thought or get disciplined? I think we're gonna go through get disciplined. Let's see. Let's scroll and just see. Question: if you know what it is, what is your life purpose? How do you fulfill it? If you know what it is, what is your life purpose? I think I want to do good, and I want to be remembered as a good person. This is kind of my purpose. And how do you fulfill it? Yes, by just being a good person and trying to be as good as I can and trying to be as helpful as I can. Need advice. I have 54 days and 12 hours remaining in my med school final year exam, and I can't make myself study. Like I have mentioned in my title, I'm a 24 male, and I'm in my last year of med school. I just can't make myself study. Whole day I keep on playing games or watching YouTube videos. Occasionally, I would just look at the books and arrange my table, and that's it. The thing is, it is all about habits, and make it as difficult for yourself to quote unquote fulfill those old habits. Just lock your games in some, I mean, if we talk about consoles, then lock up your games with some code you don't know. Just ask a friend and just don't let them open it until you just have finished school. Also with YouTube, block YouTube. This is, by the way, something that I think that I'm also going to do today. I'm going to block YouTube for a decent amount of hours. And yeah, there is software, there is plugins, there is stuff. You can do that and then replace these with other habits, which is something that I'm also trying to do. Okay, every time when I think about doing something, then I'm gonna maybe take a sip of my water. This would actually be quite a good habit, to be honest. What if you could do it? Looking for accountability productivity partners, Meta. Need advice. I finally got my second chance. How dare I not waste it? Hey, so I just got my chance to do better and have a lot of time. I have postponed my semester exam to the after Corona. So I want to start working on my future. I always say that if I get an opportunity, I will do everything correctly. My main worry is that I will lose this motivation and start goofing around. I don't know. I think it just really sounds to be a lot of pressure on oneself, and I don't know. Just try to do good. Don't try to make everything better, because I think that you're not probably gonna get there. But just I know there's some main things that everyone is pissed off by. You know, some personal things, but it has something to do with family, surroundings, environment, whatever it might be. There's just always something that really pisses us off, and just tackling these things at first and then caring about the very minor things. Even though you could also be like, well, I'm gonna work on the very big things, but to distract myself and to just not get fucking crazy, I'm also gonna work besides that on the very small things, on those things that don't really matter that much. But I think it is just a good way to just not get fucked, you know, if you're only just doing one thing. Method to be successful. You have to use each day as an opportunity to improve, to be better, to get a little bit closer to your goals. It might sound like a lot of work, and with a busy schedule, next to impossible. But the best part is the more you accomplish, the more you will want to do, the higher you want to reach. So as long as you have the hunger for success, you will always have the power within you to achieve it. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Which has nothing to do with being negative or some shit. But you can't be better each day as the day before. You're gonna die. You can do it, I think, weekly wise. You know, I just think about working out. You know, you can't just have every workout be better than the last one. It is not gonna work out quite. You know, you can't put on weight every single time. Well, you can, but it's very minor things. Well, okay, let's actually put it like this. You can, but it's not going to be huge change. It's going to be just slight change, which is over time is going to do a lot of good. Then the last one is going to be the food thought. Let's see. Europe in 1989, America in 2020, and the death of the lost cause. COVID-19 vaccine must protect 50% of people for approval. I see the NFL's Colin Kaepernick excuses look even more damning in retrospect. I don't just know this shit. What I learned as a young black political speaker in Liberia, White Austin. Oh, there's a link. But I'm not gonna have a look at it. I hope that it is something. I don't assume that it is, actually. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end the episode there. So I wish you the best health of happiness and all success, and also hope that you're gonna remind yourself when you're gonna be remembered, which basically means your legacy and basically means just being a nice person, and then also being remembered as a nice person, which is a pretty fucking cool thing. 3 other questions that I have you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, which is a pretty fucking cool thing. Another question that I'm having you is: what could you specifically say to another person that is really going to change their life and is really going to make a fucking difference? Yeah, with that being said, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I hope that I'm going to see you the next time as well. And yeah, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I just truly, truly appreciate that. Bye-bye.